All right, joining me now from Petty Treason, I've got Tony. Tony, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Pretty excited about your guys' new release. Before we get into that, which is going to be on 31 Records, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me about Petty Treason.
Yeah, so I'm Tony. I'm from Salem, Oregon. The band Petty Treason is out of Salem. We've been around in this iteration for about 9 or 10 months now, so we're pretty new. Uh, Before I joined, they were just like they were a cover band, and they were playing like Coxspire and Blitz and stuff like that. And I'm in another punk band called Bazooka Sharks, and I would see them and thought it was awesome because we're such a small town. Seeing a people playing oi is pretty niche. So they lost a member, and they contacted me about doing originals and playing guitar. So that was the beginning of Petty Treason.
Well, that's a great start. Those type of bands, obviously, if those are the bands that you want to play, being a cover band, then
Yeah,
it makes sense with the music that you guys have created.
yeah, yep, yep.
Your release is coming out on 31 Records. It's coming out within a few days, right? Is that October 10th?
Yeah, I think that's what he's aiming for. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I knew it was coming soon. We were talking for a few minutes before we got going, and I said I'd pre-ordered this. So, when you
Yeah.
pre-order things, you're just like, all right, it's coming. It'll let me know when it's here. And then you reached out, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk about this. And so I knew it was coming.
Perfect. And thank you for the support.
Absolutely. I dig it. Real quick, 31 Records, great label. Believe they're out of Austin. And it's just one of those that, I'm a fan of Bandcamp for the reason that you can reach out and you can follow and do all the things. They send you through the email. I don't have to constantly scan through and maybe stumble across stuff. As soon as you come across something you like, a band, a label or whatever, at that
Yeah.
point, click follow, boom, I'm good to go. I'm always excited when you see on the inbox something from either bands that I've enjoyed, so something new's coming, or in this case, a label. And that's how I come across your band. So your band's been around in this iteration, as you pointed out, less than a year. Now you
Yeah.
guys have to be technical, a mini LP, as you have 8 tracks.
Right.
So
Yep.
greater than an EP, but a mini LP. So
Yeah.
it'll be released digitally on 31 Records. What other formats is it in? And do you have plans for anything else with this release?
So it's digital, and there's a CD. And then we're thinking about maybe doing vinyl in the future, or tapes would be cool. But as of now, it's compact disc and digital. Yeah.
That's cool. Hanging with Friends is the name, and obviously it's aptly titled. Seeing the cover art for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, that's really cool. What inspired which? Did the art come from the title, or did you have an idea for the art and then the title fit?
So it was Adam's idea, and you got to think it kind of all stems from the concept of petty treason.
Right.
So in the punishment for petty treason was death by hanging. So I think the title "Hanging with Friends" and the art kind of came at the same time. So yeah,
Well, that's
yeah, that
great.
was.
When you have a concept, it's almost like the gift that keeps on giving. You pick a thing, and
Mhm.
then you can kind of build your way from there into who knows what else with petty treason in the future.
Yeah, yeah, and I think we all like those ideas of having like a concept and very particular kind of art stylings and clever wordplay. And we contacted an artist out of Portland, which is near here. um Wise, YYYS, and he's a fucking really cool artist, and he drew that up for us, so we couldn't be happier.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How far is Salem from Portland?
About an hour. Yeah.
About an hour.
Mhm.
And so you guys are local to Salem.
Mhm.
How often do you guys get out of Salem to play shows?
Uh, pretty regularly. Yeah,
Okay.
we play Portland a lot. There's also Eugene, which is an hour on the other side. We haven't exactly like got in the right niche in Eugene yet, but we play Portland fairly regularly.
As you pointed out, Oi, the style I love the most personally, but I love so many, genres, subgenres, whatever, punk, but
Mm.
love Oi. But you're right. You got to have like, if you don't have a big group, big following, it's hard. You're going to be playing a lot of mixed bills, and then hopefully the people that are coming to see those other styles are digging what you're doing because Oi it can be very rock and roll, maybe a little bit slower paced than
Yeah.
your typical. I would say what's really common right now, hardcore is probably blowing up just about everywhere. And obviously that's
Oh yeah.
faster and heavier, but both can be so similar. I love the bands that mix the lines there between oi and hardcore too. So it's not distant, but it's maybe distant enough where you're hoping that it really resonates with the groups that are coming to the shows.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's worked out better than I thought it might have. Like here in Salem, like I said, pretty much the band might be the only people into Oi in the whole town. but but we have a really thriving all ages punk scene with multiple all ages venues and a couple bars we play at, and they've all been digging it, and playing these mixed bills, and they enjoy the music. To them it's just punk rock. They may not know about the differences or the history, or might be confused about the skinhead thing, but it's been well received and cool.
That makes sense. And to be honest, I mean, you think about in the history of Oi, there had to be a band, right? And then other bands hear it, and then slowly it works its way across the planet.
Yeah.
Obviously, much more difficult. We live in a modern age. You're currently sitting at your house in Salem. I'm sitting at mine
Mhm.
in Salt Lake, and we're having this conversation on video, even, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's ebbs and flows. I don't know the history of Oi in that particular area, Salem. It could have existed and maybe it flamed out, but it needs, even if there wasn't, it just needs a spark, right? So somebody
Mhm.
that goes out and does it, obviously, if you guys are doing it, you're killing it. If you're doing cover stuff, that will probably inspire people to be like, oh, I really like those songs. And then come to find out, well, they're not their songs, but let's listen and get into
Right.
these other bands.
Yep.
But when you guys start putting out your own stuff too, it does the same thing. Oh, I really like this. I want to hear other stuff that sounds like this, and then also come across and then maybe inspire other people to do those things in your areas or check out the bands as they may come through your areas too.
Yeah, and that's been happening. I've had people message me like, I never heard that song until you covered it, and I checked out that stuff, and I really like it. And so, yeah, it's already kind of starting.
Well, on a much smaller scale, I would say, because I'm just picking stuff and playing it, but I get that too. And I love hearing that, that's kind of inspires me to continue to do what I'm doing with the podcast and stuff like that is coming across really cool stuff. And then other people saying, hey, I'd never heard that. Thank you for playing it. I got to come
Mhm.
across that band. And then who knows what rabbit holes they might have went down just when I was going down mine, coming across whomever else.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
And fun rabbit holes to go down. So in Salem, how often are you guys playing? And then as you said, you're kind of reaching out into Portland and stuff. So I guess two-part question. How often are you playing in Salem? And then how often are you playing outside?
With this band, I've tried to keep it a little more sparse. With my other band, Bazooka Sharks, we are playing every weekend somewhere, and 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 this band, I wanted to do it a little more sporadic and spaced out. So, like once a month or once every other month, And I'll also try to alternate. Like, okay, we just played Salem, let's go play Portland or something like that, and kind of space them out.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I am familiar with your other band. Your other band has toured outside of the
yeah.
Oregon area. What
We've been to Salt Lake.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
What aspirations do you have for this band as far as playing, obviously starting with regionally West Coast, working
Yeah.
your way maybe this direction?
Yeah, so this one's a little tougher to get going tour wise. We're all uh, three out of four of us are family guys, and so that makes it more difficult. For this CD release, we're gonna do a little run, Salem, Portland, and then Seattle. And so I think we'll be making some kind of 3-day runs like that. I want to make it to Salt Lake. I've got friends there, Conrad, and some new friends I made last time. And I love Salt Lake, and I'd like to make it over there. Maybe Boise, Shredder, stuff like that. So uh, I want to make it out, but we're not going to be as wild as Bazooka Sharks because we were all kind of reckless and have supportive wives and families, and like we got invited to play the Gathering of the Juggalos, so we took off to Ohio and did a whole tour around it. So there won't be any of that with Petty Treason, but
That's fair. With a lot of bands, it's more about planning the weekenders when you're getting out of town, or just as you guys already do, you do your regional where it's only a few hours and you go on a weekend. And still, I guess that's more of a weekender, but that's probably the plan. I'm sure there's a lot of great places for you to play if you went south into California and you can hit
yeah,
up a few on a weekend. And so stuff like that makes more sense to do those, quarterly or whatever.
yeah. I'd like to make it to Texas too, and be around the 31 Records guys, and if we could play a show with Bullshit Detector or Empire Down or any of those people, that would be fucking awesome. So yeah,
Right?
so yeah, I've got holdouts for cool shit that I hope happens.
That would be cool to have three great cities. You can go to Dallas, you can go Houston, you can go Austin, obviously, where 31 Records is, and play with some cool bands. Actually went and saw Hard Cell play a couple shows.
Mm.
They had Aggressive fly in from Germany, and I went and checked out a couple of the shows that were in Austin and in Dallas, and cool venues and other cool bands to check out there too.
Dude, Hard Sell is so good.
Yeah.
Oh fuck, that 30-year anniversary or whatever it is album. It's just I've been listening to it a lot lately.
Yes, it is
Yeah.
awesome. I have that one on display. Chris, those guys did a great job with all the extras that they went into
Mm,
for that one. The double vinyl, the different colors, the re-recording of the tracks, and
right.
it really cool. They went all out. I actually have the poster up here on the wall.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is very cool. So yeah, hard sell, awesome, and the venues that they played at. One of them was a coffee shop, a
Mm.
little bit bigger than I guess your average coffee shop, but still, Kick Butt Coffee was great, and they had some cool bands that opened up in there too.
Oh, right on.
Yeah,
Yeah. That'd be
so Texas would be good, and your band really has that cool sound that I can just see being one of those bands that gets added onto those those festivals that come around festival season, and you hop out and maybe play, a surrounding city or two
yeah.
and enjoy a festival. You guys, the music sounds really good. It's definitely, as we heard me say, style that I'm really into. But you have the two tracks that have been out already with Crew and Friday Nights, plus that's on the upcoming release. And I think you
Mhm.
have a third single that's out that won't actually be on the mini LP.
I think that one will be too, but it's like redone, remixed, remastered, all that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So different, maybe it's one of the other six. Right now, I only see the song titles of the six that you can't listen to. And then the song title, I'm drawing a blank on what that one was. But
Uh Clinton's is released.
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep, that's
Yeah,
it. That's the
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that one should be on there
Oh, it
too.
is on there. It
Yeah,
is.
okay.
I
It's
don't
all
know what
good.
I was thinking the first time that I looked. So all
So
of them are there.
yeah.
It's just released differently than those ones. Those two on that release, you actually have the two that you can already listen to through the Bandcamp page. The other three are all available on the other streaming.
Yeah, yeah, and there's two music videos out. One for Crew on Hardcore Worldwide YouTube, and then we just did one for Friday Nights that's on Hardcore Worldwide. So yeah,
Excellent. So those would be the locations. Where on social medias then should people follow you guys to kind of keep up with what you're doing when you would post something or that comes out like on Hardcore Worldwide?
yeah. So Petty Treason Oi on Instagram is probably the main place to go. I've got the Facebook set up too, and I try to keep it active, but Instagram's really kind of got the finger on the pulse.
I agree. I've heard and I like to repeat it because it just sounds funny when I say it. But when I ask bands about their Facebook and if they have one, they're like, "Yeah, we got it, but it's for our parents."
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. It
which
doesn't do too much now.
right, it's funny, and yep, I get it. I would post a whole lot less there if I wasn't able to connect the accounts to the Instagram accounts. It makes it really easy to post
Hmm. Do
one
both.
place and then it just kind of sends it off to the others.
Right. Yep. Yep.
You are also in Bazooka Sharks. Any of the other guys in the band play in any other bands? Have you been in any other bands besides Bazooka Sharks?
So the drummer Derek was a part of a band called the Doug Furies. They're kind of on hiatus. I don't know if they're going to be back or when they'll be back. And he's kind of got a long history of in punk bands. There was one called Kill the Kids from back in the day. There was like a local favorite. Um, and none of the other guys. And I was in a couple bands. I was the vocalist of a hardcore band called Ninth Step a while back. And then before that, when I was like 15, 16, my first band, I tried to start an Oi band, but it just was kind of just shitty punk rock. But, you know, so
We like to categorize things because you hear something and you're like, oh, that's like this is like
yeah,
that, and so forth, right? Because things sound different, even though they kind of fall under the same umbrella. But when it comes down to it, it's all just punk, right?
yeah. And yeah, even now, I just say Oi and I just use that word, but I don't fucking know. I don't. Is it street punk? Is it Oi? Is it Chaos 82? I don't know. You decide which
That's what I'm
term.
saying. I sometimes I can just say, yeah, it sounds like oi to me, and then people will say yes, or the band will say yes. I'm like, cool, at least we agree on that. I don't know if everybody
Yeah,
else is gonna, but I
yeah,
don't know. Some bands that say that they're street punk, and I'm like, well, you kind of, like what street punk bands? Maybe I'm thinking of the pogo punk bands that are street
yeah.
punk bands, but then our reason, am I getting into something that's completely, I don't know. I don't know. It's
Right.
just I like what I like, and that's what I know.
Yep. Agreed. Yeah.
With those previous bands, and now you guys have this band. I guess is this band kind of it's obviously you're doing stuff, but you're going to tour less. Is it a side project, or how is it comparative to, I guess, some of the other stuff that you're doing?
Yeah. So I would say it's a main project. I also want to mention that the rhythm guitarist of Petty Treason is in a band called Dreadnoks. So that's another thing. And I would say it's a main project, but the difference is that I think we're putting more of an emphasis on uh, writing music, recording music, releasing music, as opposed to just being out there playing shows all the time like Bazooka Sharks does. Because we play a lot of shows, but we haven't recorded in a long time and stuff like that. So it's kind of a difference in priorities.
That's fair. With that being the case, then do you? I guess you have these 8 tracks already. They're about to be released. Then what is the future on music then, as opposed to, since your focus is more on writing and recording? Do you already have other stuff? Because anybody that's done the writing and recording process and then waiting for things and working with labels and all those things that idle hands, right? You're not going to probably just sit around. You got other ideas brewing if
Yeah.
that's kind of the focus of the band. So, where do you feel like you guys are once this is released?
Yeah, so we've already been working on new songs and we're super excited about it. Like with this album, we wanted to get music out there and and get people listening to us and have something to offer. Uh and but already we've evolved and our writing styles are already evolving and we're super excited about it. And it's interesting because a lot of the bands I've been in, there's been maybe one like creative force that's kind of writing the songs. But in Petty Treason, we have 3 guys who write a lot of songs. So me, Adam, and Fred enjoy writing songs and all come up with songs. Like I love the songs that Adam and Fred comes up with. and I hope they feel the same way about mine. But uh, and in between those three writings, there's little subtle differences. So we're getting all this variance in our new songs, and we're pumped.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the whole thing coming out, maybe scrutinizing with my ears a little bit and see if I can figure out the differences there. Not specifically who, I don't know you guys personally, but,
yeah,
just kind of figure out maybe the similarities between songs, maybe of who wrote them.
right. Yeah, and so like kind of a good prelude to the kind of stuff we're writing now is "Hold the Line." That's going to be on this album is kind of the direction we're going,
Okay.
and you can't hear it right now, so that means no.
Right. Well, fortunately, we're doing this and it is Tuesday the 7th, for anybody that's wants to keep track. And about the time this is out, or at least relatively close, and maybe by the time people are actually watching us have this conversation too, that it will be out and available. But if it's not yet, it will be very soon.
Mhm.
And, 31 Records is probably the best place, but I'm sure it'll probably be up streaming on the other streaming places if, people want to check that out there too.
Yep.
And
Yeah. Well,
then the CDs, you guys will have those in hand at your shows, yeah?
yes.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. They can also go to 31 Records and on the Bandcamp page and order them there. Are those going to be something that you guys will be selling to non-show attenders?
Yeah. So through 31 Records, they'll have we kind of did a split, so they'll have half, we'll have half, and anybody who's non-local or online, I would go through them to get them.
That's
Uh,
fair.
yeah, and I'm kind of trying to make sure that's the first place people go to really show my appreciation, to 31 Records and Randall for, taking a chance on a new band like us, and I want to make sure he doesn't have those in a box under his desk for too long.
I know how that goes. I know
Yeah,
how that goes. And I get that. And guess the good thing is, I assume they're shipping from Austin, very central in the US. So if you're in the
right.
US or for sure in Europe, it'll be faster and cheaper shipping, I'm sure, to order directly from there. But I suppose if we're being smart with our shipping costs and the shipping time, anybody on the West Coast should definitely order from you guys.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah, yeah. But yeah,
uh,
we'll have them in hand for October 31st on Halloween here in Salem. And then November 1st in Portland and November 2nd in Seattle. So
That's the 3-day tour that you were
that's
talking
the
about, the
run.
weekender. Okay.
Yep.
And do you have any other dates for anything involving the band that you want to announce, or
Uh,
just put out there if it's already been put out there, I should say?
yeah. I can't think of it.
Fair enough. Well, we already gave the social medias. We'll recap that again,
Right.
and then people just go there and they'll be able to see it.
Right.
With those two tracks that are out available, technically the third, depending on where you go, but as those are already out, I don't know if those were just tracks you guys wanted to put out, or if, the single, as it were.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's as important to everybody to call things the singles, but whatever
Yeah.
they happen to be, they're the tracks that are currently available. People could already be listening to, and quite a few people I'm sure already have. I can tell on Bandcamp people have, and I'm sure they have on the other ones, the other streamings as well. So, why don't you tell me a little bit about each of those tracks? And those will be the ones that will be included on the audio version of this interview, or at least the clip from it.
Yeah, those two YouTube videos seem to be doing pretty well as far as views go too. Crew is kind of a song about what this punk rock kind of lifestyle means to us, and getting together with your friends and having a beer and going to the show and stuff like that. So it kind of does that. It's got a real rock and roll kind of feel to it. Friday nights kind of has it's a little bit more of a slower oi feel with kind of those oi leads, and it's that song's about specifically like going to a show. So it's like the whole narrative of like you're getting off of work, you're meeting at the bar with your friends, you're going next door to the show, you're seeing all everybody, and that kind of thing. So it's like brotherhood and having a good time is like a real theme of us in our music, you know.
I
Yeah.
think that's something that a lot of people can relate to, right? That's kind of what we want to do in our off time. Sometimes, all the other things going on in the world are just a lot, and you can't not think about them, but you can take a break from them. And sometimes when we're getting into our music, which is our relaxed time, our take a break from what's going on in lifetime, you don't want everything to be that all the time either. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of nice to be like, yeah, that's what I would prefer to be doing is those things with my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been going to shows and playing the punk rock music since I was 14, and it's like the most important thing in my life, and a staple of. I don't know if I've liked anything consistently for that long, So it's like, all my friends are from that scene, and so many good times and adventures, going on tours with my bands or friends' bands. It's just like uh uh something that I've really valued and cared about and been really important to me, and also it's a place, it takes the places of so many things. Like it's like therapy, when I was an angry, fucked up kid and I was doing drugs and stuff like that, and I didn't know how to deal with things, and that kind of gave me a place to express myself and get a community that like uh values me,
Right.
you can be a violent drug addict and people are like, oh, cool.
Right. It's a place where it brings together all sorts, but you're all there for a common reason.
Yeah.
I guess there's the sports analogy. You go to whatever stadium of whatever sport, right? And even though we don't know each other, whoever's sitting next to you, if they're wearing the team colors or team shirts, or high fiving, and we're glad that we're around people that want to see whoever the team is, but it goes for so many other aspects of our life in our social environments. And it's the same thing. You go to the show and somebody's wearing a band shirt of a band you like, or wearing clothes that hey, I've got the same type of jacket, I like those patches, I like whatever. And sometimes it's, well, I'm here and you're here, I don't know what's on your shirt, but I'm definitely going to check out what's on your shirt because we're both here watching the same thing. It could be that
Right.
too.
Right.
And so it's that same kind of bond that's almost an unspoken bond before people even start having conversations once they've arrived at the same place.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like I'm picturing, like you could be in a place where with a bunch of people and feel uncomfortable, and then just see a band shirt and go, "Oh shit!" You're like me and feel comfortable again, and be able to talk to that person how you would your friends or something like that.
Right. The same thing I was just saying. You're more likely to walk around in the street and see somebody wearing a sports team that you like, whatever that is. But for people that like this type of music, even if we dial it down from punk even more to oi, but you don't even have to do that, just punk in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
and walk around in public, and odds are not likely you're going to see very many people that you'll have that instant connection with.
Yeah. Yep.
But when we all gather in the same place, then it's pretty cool. And when I like going to bigger festivals for that reason, just because it's like there are more people that enjoy this stuff that I like
Mhm.
than we're gonna see if we just go wandering around to the store or wherever.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. So you got Friday nights, you got crew. Since we'll be able to play the track "Hold the Line," why don't you tell me a little bit about "Hold the Line"?
Yeah. So hold the line. I wrote that one. The lyrics for that one, and it's kind of about my journey as a teenager, uh, making those friends and getting together with those friends and how that felt, uh, and having uh, pride and going to the shows and stuff like that, and beating each other up and what stuff like that. So, you know, it's kind of like I pictured my 14 through 16 age, and the shows I was going to and what I was doing, and I kind of wrote about that.
That's cool. I
Yeah.
dig it. And, relatable again. It's one of those things. And yeah, beating each other up, right? But that's
Yeah.
You know, aggression. You know, people get aggression out in a variety of ways, and that's you go to a show, and that's one way it gets done.
Yeah. Yep. And it's all love, you know.
Right, right. You know, when somebody gets knocked on the floor, what do? We pick them up,
Pick 'em up. Yep.
right? uh, there's a couple bands you mentioned as the were the bands that were being covered, but I suppose on top of those, what can you name some influences, at least for you personally, but if you feel like any of the guys in the bands have anything specific that you guys are kind of drawn from to
Yeah.
create Petty Treason tracks?
Yeah. So it's such a wide influence I think we all have, uh and from Oi in general and all the things in Oi, like our bassists, like they started covering Coxbar and Blitz, and we still usually have a Coxbar song to open and a Blitz song to end, or vice versa. So I would say those are two good foundations. Especially Blitz with it's a little more aggressive and punky. And I think we kind of fall in line with like a oxymoron or funeral dress or info riot. It's kind of that interesting blend of like oi and punk, but um, other influences I have, um, especially with guitar, is like Booze and Glory, the Bold as Brass album is such a great album, and those leads on that is amazing. And and we've all been listening to what's coming out and getting inspired and excited about the new stuff. Like Bullshit Detector, Empire Down, Homefront, No Heart from Canada. And those are more influences for me. Bishop's Green is one of my favorite bands ever, and then Perkele from Sweden. So we're kind of all over the map. We all really love Oi and all the generations of Oi.
I'm with you. Everything that Greg does, Bishop's
Everything.
Green, and now First Attack.
Yeah.
You know, you get into Subway Thugs.
Subway Thugs. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all those great bands. Anything that Greg does is awesome. He's got such a great, distinct voice, and
Yeah.
just all the bands. I mean, if they were crappy music and his vocals, maybe I'd still like it. I don't know, but he hasn't been in one of those bands yet. It
No,
all
he
sounds
hasn't.
good.
No, yeah. Alternate Action is another one.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
good.
Mike Longshot involved in those.
Yeah.
In alternate action. Yeah, it's just a lot of really cool guys, cool bands, great sounds.
Yeah.
Perkley, I love a lot of their stuff, and they are a band that I mean, if you like their discography, you like a variety of music because it is,
Yeah.
it is
All over the
it's
place.
got some variety in it.
They just came out with one, and that one may be a bridge too far for me, but but every other album I love. Up until that, they didn't have a bad song to me. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're definitely, I think even on their last album, you can tell that they definitely wanted to do some metal.
Yeah.
And now they're for sure going into metal. Those guitars sound like guitars you would find in any heavy metal band.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not hating because I know it's not like a sellout thing or trying to appeal to a wider audience. They're playing what they want to play, and
Right?
and if that's not for me, that's okay. Fuck me. Do what you love.
I'm with you. I've had so many of these type of conversations, and I think about the type of person I am, and I'm like, you know what? If I played for as long as a band like that has, and you know, if I heard no other music once I started, I would probably create the same type of stuff over and over. But they, like everybody else, are listening to other things and they want to do other things. They might get tired of playing the same sounds to them, and maybe for that, those styles of music that they've done thus far, they're like, you know what? Everything we create along this line sounds like other shit we've done. We want to try something else.
Yep, yep, and I get it, and that's cooler to go out on a limb and play what you want to play, despite whatever people might be upset, than just sticking to a formula because that's what people are okay with. I,
Right?
I I feel the same way about like Bad Brains and their later stuff. And then, do you know the hardcore band Ceremony?
I know the name, not that familiar with the music though.
Okay, yeah, they had like a couple albums that were like some of the best hardcore you ever heard, and then they went into kind of a new wavy thing, you know. So you would go to their shows and they would be playing new wave, and you bunch of hardcore kids like, oh, okay.
What is that? Was that I think that was Fear too, right? Like their first few albums, One Way, or no, The Damned. Sorry, it's The Damned.
The
I'm thinking of The
Damned, yeah,
Damned. That's
yeah,
who I'm thinking of.
yeah,
You know, their first album or two is one thing, and then through the middle upper 80s, they went a different way. But I mean,
yeah,
that's what the majority of new wave bands in the 80s. So many of them started as punk bands or guys listening to punk music, but
yeah,
they start hearing something and they want to get into something else, and that's just
yeah.
kind of the way it goes.
Even Blitz did that. Yeah, their later
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
Which
Yeah,
is
that makes
interesting.
sense.
It's interesting because Blitz was such a huge impact on Oi, the first couple generations, but this generation is inspired by Blitz's later albums, When you
Right,
listen to when you listen to Homefront or a lot of these, they call them cold Oi bands, like that's later Blitz.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool elements. Home fronts, yeah, and bullshit detector both kind of fall in differently, but similarly in those directions. Just
Yeah.
the style that they go with their sound.
And like Syndrome 81.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot
Yeah.
of great French bands go that way.
French. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Claim Choice is a great band. They kind of they're pretty straight ahead though. They're not too new wavy, but we got to play with them. That was fucking awesome.
That's great.
Yeah,
Was that a Portland show?
yeah, that was the
Yep.
Portland show. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
cool.
it was like a mix of Bother Boy Productions and Mike Longshot Productions. So Mike Longshot's not too far from here, so I run into him every now and then and gotten to talk to him and mutual friends kind of thing.
He's awesome. I've talked
Yeah.
to him for the show, but like he's one of the first interviews I did. So it's been 8 years probably since
Uh,
I had him on the show. I've seen him at some other festivals and stuff like that, and talked to him by email. I was looking at starting a record pressing thing back like a year after COVID started,
uh-huh.
and he was the person I reached out to ask a bunch of questions about, once you're pressing all the records and all those things. So he actually helped me decide not to go that route. Not that that was his, his
Right.
intent, but the information helped me save it would have cost a lot of money to get that pressing
Yeah.
equipment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't imagine. Yeah. Even making records is a lot of money.
Yeah, I decided to go that route, helping some bands get their stuff on vinyl. That was a lot less and a lot less to work through than trying to set up stuff. So Mike was great for that reason. Very smart guy, and he's just got such a lot of great experience making music, being in bands, but then obviously doing long shot music as well.
Yeah, and what a cool dude to take the time to do that because he's got his label and his label is like hooked up and helping out all these other labels that are like linked into him,
Right?
and then doesn't he work for Pirates Press too?
He did. I'm not sure if
Oh,
he does, but he
maybe
definitely did,
doesn't.
especially pre-pandemic, because he had like a visa issue or something like that, and went back home to Canada, and then got stuck there for like a couple years. And so obviously working at Pirates Press was different. I think he still did like online work as people do, but
Okay.
I'm not sure his capacity there anymore. But I know in the last couple years he's a lot of his music was also on Pirates Press, kind of like as a separate link, but on their website now, he sells the majority of his stuff on his own website.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just such an instrumental part of some of the best oi bands
Right.
out. Period. Yeah, in the
Right.
world.
He's got a lot of influence. Like you just pointed out, you just talk about the bands that he's been
Yeah.
in, but then it goes on into the bands that he's worked with, the records that he's helped put out, the quantity of records that he's had sold, all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I watched the Bob Dylan movie the other day, kind of along the topic that we were just talking about. And I know a little bit of Bob Dylan. I'm not really into the folky and all those things, but I know the influence that he had on music. But that kind of takes me back to what we were just saying. Like basically the end of the movie was him transitioning from being like
Mm.
huge folk guy into like Bob Dylan Goes Electric. I think that's kind of what the book was based off of. And like the decision right at the end, it's like kind of what we're talking about with Perkley. It's like people are gonna hate it or like it, type thing. And you go with it. That's what Bob Dylan did. You know, spoiler alert if you if you don't
You're
know
right.
the history or the
Yeah.
movie. But you know, at the end, he's like, you know what? I get that people are here to see me do folk music, but I got this other stuff I want to do
Yeah.
now, and
Right.
went with it. A lot of people hated it, but a whole bunch of other people liked it, and other people, I assume, probably decided, oh yeah, it's all right. I do like what he's doing here along with the other stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to
And
do what you got to do.
right, right. When the wind changes, you know, it's no reason to fight the wind.
Yeah. I still think his electric stuff was awful, and I
Right,
thought him being in the band was awful. Yeah.
right,
The Levon Helms.
right, right. And when it comes down to it, it's eye of the beholder. Some people like
Yeah.
it, some
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
don't. But the
Yeah.
point was, is that's where he wanted to go, and I think, you know,
Yes.
along the lines of Perkley, that's where they want to go,
Exactly.
and embrace
Yes.
it.
Yes. Agreed.
Well, what is there that we haven't covered about petty treason? Anything that we haven't covered that we should get into?
Yeah, we're working on new songs and trying to get out there and um yeah, we're kind of thinking I've been thinking about what to do next, and the idea keeps coming in my head about a split. So maybe maybe a split down the road if I can rope a really cool band into it. I've tried. I've already reached out to, you know, who I want on a split is Kong Kong. Have you heard of
Yeah.
Kong Kong?
Oh, yeah.
I can't stop listening to him, dude.
Love them. I've been a fan since the first release. I've bought every EP as it's come out directly from them, and I just pre-ordered like a couple days ago. Like I think it just released maybe this past week, but on TKO Records, you probably know. But they put all the everything together for one LP, and then they included a new single. They have like a US version and a European version,
Right,
and there's a different track on each of those that were unreleased previously.
right, right. Yeah, I seen they came out with that. Are you gonna try to get your hands on a European version too?
I think I am. You know, I just ordered the one and I thought, God, do I need two of the same thing? There's only one different song.
Yeah,
And now that I've ordered it, I've been thinking exactly what you just said. Should I get that other one?
they're different colors, man.
They are different colors too. Yeah. But they're a great band. I love their sound. You know, something that I've thought about doing is there's so many great European bands, including Kong Kong, that, you know, I don't even know if they play shows often outside of Sweden, if wherever, right? It's pretty much just music that they're making, to my knowledge. And it would be cool to see those things, and I would love to do something and get people together. The drawback is all right, let's get people together and let's play some of those songs here that you're not going to hear from these bands because they're really cool to be played live, right? And that was one band. It's like I don't see them playing a lot of shows in Europe, so coming here is probably a stretch
Yeah,
to get to see them here. And so somebody should play their songs because they've done a great job. I dig their sound. I love
yeah,
the evolution of their sound too from that first release, raw and primitive indeed. But since then, they've had a lot of incorporations. The female vocalist went
yeah,
from like one track on a release to now all the tracks on the release,
yeah.
and the synths or keyboards inclusion is much more prevalent,
Mm,
you know, on the other releases. So they definitely have a lot going on.
yeah. That I that's the stuff I love. Like they have that weird juxtaposition where the guitars are like pretty undistorted, kind of just, you know, jammy, and then the vocals are just fucking ridiculous, caveman, you know.
Yeah.
And then you've got this super melodic girl, and it's like it's such a you know, a juxtaposition, and it's awesome. And how cool is it to take, you know, oi music, which is a pretty standard, you know, formula, and they found a way to make it unique and you know, make something fucking awesome. So yeah, they did a good job.
They did, and that would be cool to do a split with them. Uh, Pete from Fool's Errand got at least the vocalist to guest on one of the tracks for Fool's Errand last album that came
Oh,
out. I think it was last year, or was it already 2 years ago? Jeez. But either way, like that whole album was awesome. But the track that Kong Kong was on was my favorite track of that record too. Yeah,
maybe a feature. Maybe that's the way to go.
yeah, that could be.
Do we even know if they're an actual band? Have you seen them together playing? Or
I've never. That's why
okay,
I was kind of wording it in a way that I haven't even seen them do anything, any
okay,
shows. So
yeah,
if they're playing shows, I have never seen a live performance from that band.
yeah, yeah. I kind of wondered if it was like one or two guys like project that they're doing all the instruments. I don't know.
They list everybody as something Kong or whatever for like band names, and
Uh,
I've seen the pictures in the 7 inches and stuff like that, but they all have a gorilla mask on, and so I mean I didn't look too close at the body types, but it could be the same dude wearing different masks and have
or
different names for all I know.
yeah. Well, it reminds me of this. My first band, I shot a video, and our bass player like quit. We didn't have a bass player, so we just put a bandana around one of our friends and put a bass in his hands for the video. You know, he's not even our bass player or anything. So I was kind of wondering, is he just putting monkey heads on his buddies and saying that's the band? I don't.
It could be. I
Yeah.
mean, it could be a single guy thing. I don't know. I mean, if they do any, like the videos I've seen have been like animations and stuff. I didn't see, I don't remember any
I
of
think.
people, but it could be the same thing that you just said. You could stick a mask on a bunch of guys and record it. It might not be the actual people that do the music.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a video for Empire, and it's just one guy in a gorilla mask. But
Right.
who knows? The mystery's cool too. Yeah.
Right. It gets we've had a 5 minute conversation already just about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They would be cool to do a split with, though. Who are there any other bands on your lists of people that you would like to do a split with?
Flat Earth Boot Boys.
Nice. I love Neil.
Oh yeah. I don't
Neil's
know,
awesome.
but the music's fun, awesome.
It is awesome and so funny. Like the stuff that Neil's a super funny guy. He has a really great memory. Funny enough, when I had him on the show a few years back, had just taken mushrooms and he was hilarious pointing that out to us, right, during the interview that he was kind of forgetful.
I'm on mushrooms right now. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw him like a year and a half later at the LA Punk Invasion, and he remembered everything like crystal clear,
Wow.
right? Because I see, like we're talking here, I would probably recognize you in person, especially, if I wasn't like in a crowd and I knew I was meeting you, right? I'd recognize you.
Yeah.
And, but like with Neil, I'd see Neil, same type of view that I've got. And I have no idea. Like, I have no idea how tall you are. You could be 5'2", you could be 6 foot, you could be 6'8" for all I know, right? Because I only got a small view. And the point I'm
Right.
getting at is I see Neil and I just assume everybody's probably about my height. I'm average, I'm 6 foot, you
Yeah.
know? And so I figure everybody's probably around there. And this dude that's like 6'4", 6'5", something
Oh
like
shit.
that, standing next to me, and he's just like, he recognizes me. And I
Uh,
look at his face, I'm like, oh shit, that's Neil. He's a
uh,
whole lot taller than I thought he was.
yeah, that's funny. It's always
Yeah.
fun when that happens because I'm 6 foot, by the way. But when Harm's Way, I liked Harm's Way, and you would see the pictures and the videos, and you're like, damn, that dude's fucking ripped and crazy looking, and then I go to see him, and he's like, I don't want to be insulting, but he's not 6 foot. He's short. He's shorter than usual, and it's like, whoa.
That's fair. There's a variety of heights. I think to me it feels average at about my height, around 6 feet feels pretty average. I see a lot of people that are a couple inches taller, a couple inches shorter. There's some that are, noticeably shorter. I think like the average height of men, at least in this country, I think I've heard it's like 5'9". And so I don't know if
Yeah,
that's accurate, but it feels to me closer to maybe 6 foot. I don't know. So even if you're 5'9", 5'4", or something like that, you whatever, right?
yeah,
You're probably not going to dunk a basketball, but you know what? There's been a couple guys that could.
right.
Otherwise, what's holding you back?
Yeah. And I think I've thought about that too. I think it might be average 5'9" because like I looked up percentages one time, and like people who are 6 foot or taller are a very small percentage of people. And when I think about shows, I'm usually never blocked from seeing a show by somebody in front of me. You know,
Right.
but
It's the mohawk. That's what ends up blocking me.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
If I put my hair up in the mohawk too, I'd be blocking people. But I get it. I don't like it when it's blocking me, but I like seeing it. It's cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And they just take out a chunk, you can still see it.
Right? Yeah, I just gotta, fortunately they're pretty thin, so as long as they're not turning their head sideways, that it's typically all right. I can just shift my head over a little bit.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, but Neil, awesome guy, and I like Flat Earth Boot Boys. Again, I think their stuff's hilarious. The music's great, right?
yeah.
All the stuff with all the bands that Neil does stuff with, Scunthorpe Yobs, obviously a more serious band there that Neil does, but
Mhm.
Oil is definitely so, like the music on the point I'm getting at is the music's great on all of them, but for Oil and for Flat Earth Boot Boys, it's definitely more fun for the
Fun. Yeah,
lyrics as opposed to being serious because
yeah.
and they make it sound so serious about the
Right.
flat earth stuff.
Which makes it funnier.
Yes.
It's fucking flat.
Right, and all the different things, and you're like, there's legitimate people out there that believe these things, that truly
Yeah,
believe them.
right. Yeah, I wasn't sure if he did. I didn't know. I'm like, I think this is all satirical, but
I've only briefly, that when I've had conversations with him, it was Scunthorpe Jobs had new release coming out and re-releasing stuff with Oil, and it was kind of when Flat Earth Boot Boys was, and we briefly talked about it, but not really in depth on the lyrics. So to be honest, I mean Neil could. I don't want to say Neil does by any means, but at the same time, I don't know, so I can't say that he doesn't.
yeah, yeah. And the thing about both of those is there's something lighthearted about them, and I think we kind of have that too. Our music is pretty serious, but we have like I feel like a lighthearted element to us, and so we kind of gravitate towards that.
Right. And again, it sounds good. Your music sounds good. Uh, your, I don't want to say their lyrics are spoofy. Like Neil admittedly says Oil's kind of poking fun at the
Yeah,
stereotypes of the
of
skinhead
or
scene, right?
yes,
Even though
absolutely.
a lot of the band members into that type of music, but it's
Yeah,
still kind of fun to poke fun at the stereotypes. And so I get it, and it's a lot of fun. And then with Flat Earth Boot Boys, along the same lines, just different things.
yeah,
But the music, again, the music sounds great. They're not. If it was shitty music, you'd just be like, "Oh, this is stupid."
yeah,
Like
right.
you're singing about the Earth's flat, and then your music just sounds
And it
awful. This is
sucks.
stupid.
Right, right. Yeah,
But they actually sound really good. And then as you pointed out, it just kind of comes into this. Well, it's kind of fun. It's fun.
you're
I like
right.
it. It's got a
Yep,
fun sound.
yep, yeah. And then, so for a third option, which is probably more realistic, is we've got some buddies, and a hardcore band from here, from Portland, called Witness the End, and they're a fairly new hardcore band. And I booked them here in Salem. I do something called Cherry City Hardcore Productions, which is what I book under. And I booked them off a recommendation, and they didn't have any music out yet. And when the show came, it became one of my favorite hardcore bands in the whole, Northwest. So I was like, fuck yeah, So we've been playing shows with them, and if we could get them into some kind of a split, that would be cool.
That would be cool. Maybe, and I wouldn't count out Flat Earth Boot Boys for sure. I
Yeah,
wouldn't count them out. But for a split like that, because the genres are different enough, it would be cool to play the other band's song, one of those kind of splits. So they
yeah,
would basically take a song or two of Petty Treason and give it the hardcore makeover, and then you guys do the same with something of theirs. That would be a really cool blend.
yeah, yeah. And that was kind of something I wanted to touch on, like about the different music. Like here in Salem, growing up, we couldn't be elitist because it wasn't a big enough scene to. So we all liked hardcore, oi, punk rock, power violence, grindcore, D beat. You know, it was all, we all liked all of it, and we all booked those mixed shows. You know, and so as an adult, I still have that feeling. You know, so even though Witness the End is a hardcore band, I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like
Right.
we're, you know, to me it's like a spirit and an energy, and to me it's we're brothers. You know.
That's awesome. And I think either which way you do a split like that, I think it'd be cool. I think, again, you pointed out there's elitists. There's some people that are going to like what they're going to like. And when it comes to anything, you're not going to please everybody. Some people are going to hear great music. We've talked about some classic punk bands, oi bands, Coxbar and Blitz, and there's some amazing tracks. You just pick out certain tracks and like that is fucking, that's like top 10 classic punk track, right? Like if you're going to look back at classic oi, either of those bands are going to have at least a track mixed in a top 10 list there. But then
Oh
there's going to be people that are going to say, I don't like that track. I don't like,
yeah,
and so it's just going to be one of those things where you can't please everybody
yeah,
and you just do what you like. And, for people such as yourself, myself, I'm sure tons of people out there listening, you just like what you like.
yeah,
Sometimes it's going to be, a mix of hardcore and oi is going to be fantastic.
yeah,
Sometimes it depends on the ones you mix. Might be some not great hardcore band. You're like, if it was a better hardcore band, I would have loved it. That could be that. But
right,
uh, you just do it and it'll be awesome. It's something cool to add to a collection. Like again, you probably that there's a lot of mixed splits, but I would say there's very few splits out there that include an oi band and a hardcore band, where
yeah,
you can say that that's an oi band for sure and that's a hardcore band for sure.
yeah,
That you're not going to see that
yeah,
often.
yeah. You get a lot of like maybe punk and oi, you know, yeah,
Sure.
skins and punks kind of mixes, but yeah, not too many punk and hardcores. It'd be cool.
Yeah, and again, it's people. There's going to be plenty of people that will like it because there's plenty of people, as you said. I mean, just in your scene alone, and there's plenty of smaller scenes out there. Not everybody has the luxury of all the cities in California that have like hundreds of bands that play in the punk subgenres, right? Or pick Chicago's got so many of all sorts of varieties. Not everybody's got that luxury where it's like, all right, every show can be a hardcore show or an oi show or a street punk show or whatever.
Yeah,
People there's more cities that you just described than are going to be that other way.
right. Yep.
And so I think that would be definitely something very cool to do a split in that sense. Uh, you named that hardcore band. Before we get wrapping up, are there any other bands? Because I've already got a list of bands that I definitely want to check out that you've mentioned, but are there any other bands that you would like to mention that maybe people may not know about? I mean, it's again, eye of the beholder. There's somebody, you're going to say a band and somebody's going to be like, I know that band, but so many other people probably are going to be like, oh, I need to go check out that band.
Yeah. So you know, talking about Salt Lake, we just played with Never Don'ts from Salt Lake.
So you
So
saw Conrad again.
yeah, Saul Conrad. We go way back. If you don't mind me going on a tangent,
Do.
uh, I was a roadie for a ska punk band called Scatterbomb, and we were like 18, 19 years old, and we went through Salt Lake, and Conrad owned a venue, and he put us, he let us crash at his house, and we became lifelong friends and stuff. So you know, long history. So yeah, got to hang out with him again. See Never Don'ts. Some other bands. A buddy of mine's in Dry Socket, which is a hardcore band. Weekend Kids is an oi band from Portland. Buddies of mine. They're on Long Shot Records. Uh, the Last Responders out of Portland. Dreadnoks, Bazooka Sharks. Um, uh, some people are going to be pissed at me after this.
I'm sorry I put you on the spot.
Oh,
A
it's
lot of
okay.
great bands. I played so many of those bands on the shows. Weekend Kids, I was actually able to get to see them at the Crash Fest. Was it like 22 that was in Portland?
Okay, I was there. Yeah, cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Me too. And I got to see them, learn a little bit about them, being part of Bobber Wonderland, some of the members, and,
yeah,
things that I didn't know about the band at that point, but their EP that they had put out up to that point, very good.
Yeah, yeah. The bass player, we've been friends since we were teenagers. He's from Salem, and he was in that ska band, Scatterbomb, that I was talking about.
Awesome.
And then he was in Rum Rebellion.
Oh,
They
nice. Yep.
yeah, and then yeah, now he's in Weekend Kids. So
A variety of music for him.
yeah, yeah, that's that Salem spirit, man. We're a very eclectic group.
Right? And why not? Especially if you're going to do multiple bands
Yeah,
at the same time, you might not want to do multiple bands that are doing the same style of music because then it's like, all right, when I'm helping create a song, which band does it go to? As
right.
opposed to if you're doing different styles, you know exactly where a song should be going.
Yeah, yeah, and you can pull from different parts of yourself without pulling from something that you would use. They're totally different parts of yourself. So
Right.
yeah.
Uh, That's awesome.
But was there other questions that I didn't answer?
No, nope. You're naming the bands. I'll
Yeah.
point out. I love Conrad. Such a great guy. Everywhere I see him, obviously here in Salt Lake, every time I see him, he's like the friendliest guy.
Yeah.
I've had him on the show a bunch of times.
Oh, cool.
I haven't had him since he started the Never Don'ts, but his other hardcore band, Mandalore, I've talked to him a couple times when they put out stuff there and had him on the show. And uh, anybody that comes through Salt Lake, if you need to re-up your t-shirts, Conrad does them. That logo right there for SLC Punkcast, and then
Okay.
right there, the Punkanoy Worldwide. That's kind of hard to see. Let's see camera. Yeah, so
There
he
we
did
go.
those t-shirts
Oh, sick.
with both those logos for me.
Right on. Hell yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's solid.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, he's solid.
Yeah. And they've been already touring. I think they went south and did tours like Vegas and California. And then obviously very recently went through your neck of the woods up north.
Do you know if they're back home yet?
I think they are. I think their
Okay.
tour was it last week or I think it was last week. Was it last week? Last weekend? It was just for the week. And so if they came through your area, I think they've got to be home.
Yeah. Dude, do you remember Gunner from Salt Lake?
I don't think so offhand.
Okay. They had another band that they were always with. But Gunner was a hardcore band out of Salt Lake that I was just uh thought was so fucking awesome and unique.
I'll have to look them up. I should know them
Yeah.
because they're from here, but I'm sure there's plenty of bands I don't know. As
Okay.
small as our scene is, considering, some of the cities that we were mentioning, it is definitely big enough
Can
that,
still slip through the cracks. Yeah, that
yes.
was that was probably 2012ish that they were doing their thing.
Okay, cool. Well, my co-host for SLC Punkcast, Eric, I bet knows him because he does his own hardcore metallic kind of hardcore band, Anonymous, and then
Okay.
another more pop punk style band with the Apathetics, and he knows everybody
Yeah.
and all the bands. He's definitely the expert.
He was probably in the band.
He could have been. He could have been. There's been a few that I don't remember.
Uh,
That's fantastic, though. I appreciate you taking all the time. I definitely look forward to hopefully get to see you at some point in person again. Our paths have crossed. We were in the same
yeah.
place, but even at those shows and those festivals, there's always so many people there that there's only
Yeah.
so much time to get around the room and try to meet new people before the next band gets on.
Right. And like you said, we might not even recognize each other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank
Well,
you so much for having me on, man.
absolutely. I look forward to it. Real quick, let's plug it all again. Where can you be found on social medias?
Okay, so Instagram, it's Petty Treason Oi, and to get a pre-order our album or order our album soon, it's on CD. You can go to 31recordstx.bandcamp.com, and it's right there. And my name is Tony Morse. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. And yeah,
And the videos, Hardcore Worldwide. So those would
hardcore.
obviously be very recent too on Hardcore Worldwide because they put out a ton of videos, but yours would probably be in the more recent section.
Yeah, the Friday nights just came out on Hardcore Worldwide, and Petty Tree and um, Crew was a couple months ago. So both of those can be found on Hardcore Worldwide.
Perfect.
Uh, and the name's unique enough that you type in Petty Treason on YouTube, it's pretty much all our stuff. Whether it be our singles, our videos, or a lot of live footage and things like that. So
Right. And you guys have your own Bandcamp page. Just one of the singles, I forget which one was there, but you had
Yeah.
one of them up there. So is that something that you guys will be more active with, or are you just going to be working more off of the 31 records for now?
Uh, I'll probably, yeah, I'll get them on there
Okay.
once it's out, and I'll make it available on Spotify and YouTube and everywhere else. So
Perfect.
yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Tony. It was a blast. Thank you for all the time you took here.
Hell yeah. You too. Thanks again for having me. I'll talk
Absolutely.
to you soon.